Hi, welcome to another episode of First Chapter Friday. My name is Lucy, and as always, I'm very excited to be here sharing a book with you today. The book that I'm going to read from today is called Before the Ever After by Jaqueline Woodson, and this is a novel written in verse, so I'll actually read a few of the first pages, but it's not one chapter specifically. And this is the story of a boy named ZJ, who is the son of a professional football player. And his father, ZJ's father, is sort of like everybody's hero. He's this great athlete, and everyone in the community looks up to him. And the neighborhood kids love him. He's just this beloved figure. And that's sort of the before. So the after is ZJ's life has been changing a little bit because his father has started to forget things, like really big things. And so it makes life difficult. His father gets angry quickly. He's just not the same person that ZJ is used to and that everybody else looks up to. So it's sort of this coming of age story for ZJ where he has to recognize this change in his father and see where his father still is his father, but come to terms with the differences. And it's a really powerful story. I love the way Jaqueline Woodson writes, and reading a novel in verse is a different way to get a story across. It can be really immersive. You just kind of get pulled in because it moves quickly. So yeah, I don't want to give away too much about how ZJ struggles with and comes to terms with the differences in his father, but it sort of makes an interesting point about ZJ's father got injured multiple times playing football, and this the result of this is his loss of memory. And so I think there's that piece too of what happens when our heroes are also doing things that maybe are not good for them. Why do we look up to who we look up to, and what makes people heroes? So there are a lot of good questions in this book. I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to read a few of the first sort of poems in Before the Ever After by Jaqueline Woodson. Part 1, 1999. Memory like a movie. The memory goes like this. Ollie's got the ball and he's running across my yard when Dad comes out of nowhere, soft tackles him to the ground. Then everyone is cheering and laughing because we didn't even know my dad was home. I thought you had a game, I say, grabbing him. It's a half hug, half tackle, but the other guys, Derry and Daniel, hop on too, and Ollie's escaped, so he jumps on top of all of us, jumping on my dad. Yeah, Mr. J, Derry says, I thought we'd be watching you on TV tonight. Coach giving me a break, my daddy says. He climbs out from under, shaking us off like we're feathers, not boys. Aw, man, Derry says. Yeah, we all say, aw, man. Sometimes a player needs to rest, Daddy says. He looks at each of us for a long time, a strange look, like he's just now seeing us. Then he tosses the ball so far, we can't even see it anymore. And my boy says, oh man, you threw it too far. Well, I go back behind the garage where we have a whole bunch of footballs waiting and ready for when my daddy sends one into the abyss. Everybody's looking for a hero. Once, when I was a little kid, this newscaster guy asked me if my dad was my biggest hero. No, I said, my dad's just my dad. There was a crowd of newscasters circling around me, all of them with their microphones aimed at my face. Maybe I was nervous. I don't remember now. Maybe it was after his first Super Bowl win, his ring new and shining on his finger. Me, just a little kid, so the ring was this whole glittering world, gold and black and diamonds against my daddy's brown hand. I remember hearing the reporter say, listen to those fans. Looks like everybody's found their next great hero. And now I'm thinking back to those times when the cold wind whipped around me and Mom as we sat wrapped in blankets, yelling Dad's name so close to the game, we could see the angry spit spraying from the other team's coach's lips. so close we could see the sweat on my daddy's neck. And all the people around us cheering, all the people going around calling out his number, calling out his name. Zachariah 44, Zachariah 44. Is your daddy your hero? The newscaster had asked me. And all these years later, just like that day, I know he's not my hero. He's my dad, which means he's my every single thing. Day after the game, and Daddy gets out of bed slow. His whole body, he says, is 223 pounds of pain, from toes to knees, from knees to ribs. Every single hit he took yesterday, remembered in the morning. Before the ever after. Before the ever after, there was Daddy driving to Village Ice Cream on a Saturday night in July before preseason training. Before the ever after, there was Mom in the back seat letting me ride up front, me and Daddy having man time together, waving to everyone who pointed at our car and said, "That's him." Before the ever after, the way people said, "That's him," sounded like a cheer. Before the ever after, the people pointing were always smiling. Before the ever after, Daddy's hands didn't always tremble, and his voice didn't shake, and his head didn't hurt all the time. Before the ever after, there were picnics on Sunday afternoons in Central Park, driving through the tunnel to get up to the city, me and Daddy making up songs. Before the ever after, there were sandwiches on the grass near Strawberry Fields, chicken salad and barbecue beef and ham with apples and brie. There were dark chocolates with almonds and milk chocolates with coconut and fruit, and us just laughing and laughing. Before the ever after, there was the three of us, and we lived happily before the ever after. Daniel. In second grade, Daniel walked over to me, Ollie, and Derry, said, "You guys want to race from here to the tree?" When he lost, he laughed and didn't even care. Just high-fived Derry, who always wins every race every time, and said, "You got feet like wings, bro." Then he got on his bike, and we knew he wasn't regular. He was fearless. Even back then, he could already do things on a bike that a bike wasn't made for doing. Popping wheelies and spinning and standing up on the seat while holding on to the handlebars and speeding down the steepest hills in town. Me, Derry, and Ollie used to call ourselves Tripod because the three of us came together like that. But when we met Daniel, we became the Fantastic Four. And even after he broke his arm, when he jumped a skate park ramp right into a wall, he didn't stop riding. He said, "My cast is like a second helmet," held it high in the air with the unbroken arm holding the handlebars and then not holding them, and Daniel flying around the park like some kid gravity couldn't mess with, while me and Derry and Ollie watched him amazed and terrified. So I'm going to stop there. Those are just a few of the first bits of verse in this book. And as you can see, it's really well written. I love the way that Jaqueline Woodson writes. And you got introduced to some of ZJ's friends, Daniel, Derry, and Ollie, and they figure prominently in this book. You also learned that ZJ is Zachariah Jr., so he's named after his father, this hero, this really big figure in his life. So that is Before the Ever After by Jaqueline Woodson, and I highly recommend it. It is a really great read. Thanks for joining me.